Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV, and I'm here with two of our contributors for the channel. One is Harry, our new presenter on Man City Fan TV, and one who has done videos for us before and continues to do videos. That's Akio. So Akio's out in Goa. It must be late there, mate.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. here right now.
Okay, well, listen, thank you very much for just coming on and giving us your thoughts on this particular thing. And what it is, it's about fans, supporters, and people who go to games, people who don't go to games, some that do go to home games but don't go to away games, some that go to Europe. I know people who only go to the home games and go to Europe but don't go to away games. So it started off with a debate that and a video that was posted on Twitter earlier today by one of the guys that we do our sort of preview match fan channel interviews with, and that's Yannick from Yannick on Chelsea podcast.
Hi guys, quick video about this big debate between match-going Chelsea supporters and fans around the world that don't have the means or access, privilege to go and attend Chelsea matches. Do the opinions and perspectives of the match-going supporters matter more? Are they more valid than Chelsea fans who can't attend games? Absolutely not. There might be a fan the other side of the world that has a absolute huge love for Chelsea, a complete affinity with the club, and they watch every single game, get up at all hours of the night to watch it, spend all their days thinking about Chelsea, and just would give anything to attend a game, but they can't. Their opinion matters no less than a Chelsea fan that goes to all the games because they can. You should be able to love the club. And to be honest, putting it on a quick tangent, if you watch Chelsea on the screen, it's great going to matches, seeing your mates, having fun, watching people off the ball that you don't see, that you'd miss on camera. But the thing is, watching Chelsea on screens through the coverage, you actually catch a lot more. And if you're interested in the game, how players are performing, your opinion analytically might actually be better than that of the supporter that went to the game in terms of how you want the club to progress and how you see players are performing through different camera angles and all sorts. Anyway, everyone's equal. That's why the game is beautiful. If you have a lot of money, or if you live near Stamford Bridge and you get to go to all the games, that does not make you any more of a Chelsea fan than someone in India or America that bleeds blue and considers himself a die-hard Chelsea fan.
Okay, so you saw what Jan had to say there. That's one thing, but I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So my first question is, I'll go to Harry first. Is there a difference between a fan and a supporter? And if there is, what is the difference?
Funnily enough, with my degree, I've actually been looking into this.
Really?
Yeah, because for me, to be honest, I can go up to anyone. I can go up to my dad and he'd say I'm a Man City supporter. Go up to my mum and she'd say I'm a Man City fan. To me, it doesn't make any difference. But if you're actually looking into what it's supposed to mean, a supporter is someone who just he's got an interest in the club, but only like if you're talking football terms, checks the scores, doesn't really take a keen interest. But scientifically, a fan is someone, like obviously, of course, where you get it with every single topic. A fanfatic is where you are very passionate about it. You want to learn more about it, and there's not a day goes by that you don't think about it.
That's because you're actually studying this side of thing at the academy, aren't you? At Man City's academy, as part of your degree. Do they say anything in that degree course that a fan has to be at the game, go to a game, be at home games, away games, or does it say anything like that?
No, not at all. It purely is to do with someone's interest. It's purely mental. It's nothing to do with physically being there. It's to do with wanting to be there. But, sometimes, of course, we'll go into it in more detail, but not physically being able to or financially. But if if you're someone who is homeless, but you absolutely love Manchester City and do anything to watch them and do anything to make it known that you're a Manchester City fan, whether it's just telling someone in the street or going and watching it in a pub, you're a fan at the end of the day. A supporter, for me, is someone who would say that they're a Manchester City supporter, but it's not a big part of their life. They don't check the scores. So, say for example, one of my good friends is a Bristol City fan. So I've always had a bit of an affection to Bristol City. I've been to a few of their games as well. So I'll check if Bristol City are doing well. I'm not a fan. I'm a supporter. I want Bristol City to do well, but I'm not a fan because I love Manchester City, and I think there is a difference there. But I don't like, say, if I'm in a conversation with someone and go, I'm a Manchester City supporter, I don't question their support for my team as just as much if they say I'm a Manchester City fan.
Okay, brilliant. Akio, well, obviously, you're in Goa. You're part of the Goan sort of Man City support, official Man City supporters club that's been set up out there. Do you call yourself a fan or a supporter, or is there a difference like what Harry was saying?
Yeah, I mean, just like how Harry said, I wouldn't really go into much detail about it personally. For me, fan and supporter would more or less mean the same thing. But when you're looking at it from like a scientific point of view or the actual definition of it, I think he pretty much covered it because when you call yourself a supporter, I mean, like you could just take the example of the World Cup. Like I'm sure when England went out of the World Cup, there were quite a few fans who were probably rooting for a certain team to go on and win the World Cup. Like
Yeah,
I know a lot of Man City fans were rooting for Belgium to probably go and win the World Cup because, of course, we've got our players in that. And you could take that as kind of the definition as a supporter. Obviously, the fans are not really invested in Belgium. They're not really fans of Belgium from their whole heart, as I would say. But they were rooting for Belgium at that point of view, and they were supporting them. So when you say supporter, like for example, I'm also a Spain supporter. I'm not fully invested in the Spanish team. I don't really love them with all my heart, or I'm not very keen on following them. But um, back when I first started watching football, I was really attached to the Spanish team, and over the years, I've just loved watching them play. So, and since my own country, like India, is not in the World Cup and hasn't been for quite a long time, I'm always kind of rooting for Spain. But when you talk about it from a fan point of view, I'm definitely a Manchester City fan because I'm very, very invested in the whole team. And it's not just about the winning and the losing and the games. I'm really invested in the whole history of it. I love watching old matches. I love going back and learning about the city of Manchester. I mean, learning about the legends that played for the club, the players, the past. I buy books on the club. I watch a lot of videos, and I think that's what goes into being a fan. You're emotionally invested into the club. It's not just watching the games and about the results. It's a lot about the club being a part of your life. So I think that's what makes you a fan.
that's yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I said when I got into a bit of discussion on Twitter with Yannick and a couple of people who comment below, and I said to him, "Let's take a scenario. Let's take somebody who has been a season ticket holder at Manchester City, at the Etihad and let's say Main Road for 40 years. Then suddenly, because of job or whatever, they move to the United States of America." And they're now living there, and they've lived there for the last 3 years, let's say, and they've not been able to afford to be able to get back to Manchester to go and watch a City game. On the other flip side, we've got somebody who's 21 who has just got their first season ticket at 18 years of age and goes home, away, and sometimes to European games. Who's the bigger fan? The guy who's spent 40 odd years following City, but hasn't been to a game for a few years because of geographical position of where they live, or the person who's been 3 years and goes home and away for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's a difference at all. I think just because one's younger, it doesn't make their values any more valuable than the person who's been going for a long time. Obviously, they're going to have a broader knowledge of City, and have been there, through tough times and now into the better times. But as you say, geography, I think it's all to do with a word, sacrifice. And if you make sacrifices for your club, this fan that you just said that moved to America, if he still, you said he still watches every single game when he's out there, he still makes sacrifices and takes time out of his day to go and watch his club. So how is he any different to the man who takes time out of his day to go to the stadium and watch it?
It's a good point. On that point, Akio, you tell us about what it's like being a City fan overseas who's yet to be to the, you've yet to come to the Etihad now, but we'll discuss about your ambitions of coming to the Etihad shortly, but just let's say it's a late kickoff game at the Etihad, and it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. When I know from conversations how you all meet up, but can you just tell the watchers what would constitute your night and the next day when it's an 8 o'clock in Manchester kickoff for you guys to go and watch the game with the supporters club?
Yeah, so we have games that are scheduled throughout the day. Like we have a 6 p.m. game, we have a 8:30 p.m. game, and a 9 p.m. game. But
your time.
Yeah, our time. Sorry.
So
whenever it comes,
5 hours, 6 hours ahead.
Yeah, 5.5 hours ahead during the daylight savings. Otherwise, it's 4.5 hours ahead. Yeah, so when we talk about the cup games like the League Cup or the Champions League, which is the late kickoff for you guys, that game kicks off at around 1:30 for us here during the daylight savings. So it's quite a task in itself to wait up for the game because we got to have dinner and everything, and then ensure that we keep ourselves busy and do something till 1:30. And then once the game kicks off, it goes on. I mean, it gets over. It winds up by around 3:15, 3:30 a.m. in the morning. So, I mean, and then based on the result and stuff, some of us are up on Twitter and engaging with other fans or fighting with the rivals and blah blah blah. And by the time we go to sleep, I think it's like 4 a.m. And since it's a weekday, like Tuesday and Wednesday, we got to wake up for whatever school, college, work at like 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. So on cup days like the Champions League and the League Cup, we're essentially sleeping maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. So that's the kind of passion that and the love that we have to put in for the team.
Well, I know last time I spoke to you last year, you were talking about some people were traveling 20, 30 kilometers just to get to the bar where the match was going to be played. So after 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, they've then got to travel 20, 30 kilometers back home, getting home at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then going straight to work.
Yeah, there's some of them don't sleep at all. They just have a 2 or 3 hour window before work begins. So some of them just grab a cup of coffee and head to work straight.
Harry, can you imagine going 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to drive 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers to go and watch a City match and then go straight to college?
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to the whole topic that we're talking about, that these people make so many sacrifices. I mean, in the summer, when we go over to America and now go on our pre-season tours, and us lot, if we're watching the game, have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now we moan that we have to get up at 3.
We do.
But these guys do it, and now we're in all 4 competitions. It's pretty much every 3 days we're playing. So it's incredible, and I think people that watch City abroad are just incredible.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, because when we have the pre-season tours, when you're saying in places like America, and we're going, what time's kickoff? Oh, kicks off at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're like, 1 o'clock. We're like, what? Oh, I'm not staying. I'm not bothering. I'm not going to bother. And even me, I mean, I must admit, I mean, I'm an ardent City fan, but I just think 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh no, I've got too much on in the morning. I'm not bothering. I'll catch up with it. So for these guys, that's the only opportunity they've got of all meeting up as a fan base, City fan base. With sometimes, because you do, Akio, you do meet up with sometimes with opposition fan bases as well at the same pub, don't you?
Yeah, we do for the big games like the Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea games. We try and rope in the other supporters clubs so we can have the whole, atmosphere and the chanting and everything.
So we're not talking just about City fans here. We're talking about a community within a country that supports their own football club, and all meet up together at ridiculous hours in the morning to go and watch this. And that, like you said, Harry, now we're in 4 competitions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it could be 2 or 3 times a week to do that, and people have got jobs and college and university and everything else and still do it. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So my next question is, are fans' opinions, do you think, and this is the crux of what I think has created such the furore around the Chelsea issue, and we've seen it at City as well with some, lots of negative comments from certain, City fans, and it happens at every single club. I'm not just saying it's City or Chelsea; it happens at every club. But do you think that opposition fans, City fans, let's stick with City, or football fans who don't get the chance to go to games, do you think their opinions are equally as valuable as those that go to the games and see the games live? I'm going to come to you, Harry, first.
It's a good question. I think two completely different sets of people, because they get two different perspectives of a game. When you're watching a game live, you can watch whatever you want. You can watch your right back for 90 minutes, but you can't do that on TV. They get a different perspective. So maybe we could think Kyle Walker's had a really poor game if you're watching it on TV. But when you see in the stadium, you see he's working hard all the time off the ball, and the camera's not panning on him to win the ball back and stuff like that. So you do get a different perspective, but equally, we could be moaning at the referee for a decision, but everyone at home knows that it wasn't a foul. Or it's all to do with perspective. But I still don't think there's any less value to someone who is not at the ground than is. It's just different perspectives. And if you're lucky enough to be at the stadium like we are every week, it's such a privilege for us. But no, not less valuable at all. Not at all.
Akio, how does it feel for you? I know we've spoken about this on the channel before. How does it feel for you when you want to go to the Etihad, but you are thousands and thousands of miles away, and you hear, and you do, like we've just established, that, long trips, early hours of the morning, follow City, read books on them, follow the history, do everything else, probably more than I do. And I run a fan channel. And I've been going since 1977, since I was 7 years of age. I've been going to Manchester City, home, away, wherever. But you can't get to the Etihad Stadium because of where you live. And then you hear somebody else on Twitter or social media saying, well, what's your opinion got to do with it because you don't even go to the games?
Yeah, that's always a confusing thing because like as you said, we probably invest. I mean, people like me invest a lot in the club, and we do quite possibly everything we can from. Everything that we can in our capacity, because we watch the games, we follow the club, we invest a lot of money in it as well. Maybe we don't come on down to the games, but we do spend the 60. We also buy merchandise like other fans, and yeah, we do invest a lot of time and money in it. So it's quite disappointing when you see, when you voice your opinion on platforms like Twitter, and then you see opposition fans hitting back at you saying, you're from India, so your opinion is irrelevant. It's quite disappointing to see things like that, but it's just got to a point where you've just got to ignore it and move on. Because I personally know that if it was in my capacity, I would definitely be at the Etihad in a heartbeat. The problem,
if you needed to get to the Etihad, can you give me a brief sort of estimation of how much it would cost you to travel from Goa to the Etihad? Just let's just say to watch one game, just one game alone. How much would that cost?
Yeah, so to travel to the Etihad, I could have done it like very easily, like maybe a year back or even this year as well. But I've kind of made a vow that when I go to the Etihad, I'd sponsor the trip myself, like not borrowing any money from my parents, because I have watched City play once. They did play a friendly in Abu Dhabi when they won the league title in 2014. Yeah, so my dad had arranged that trip for us. We were supposed to go on holiday to Abu Dhabi anyway. He arranged the trip. He bought us VIP tickets, and yeah, I think I've framed the ticket and everything over there on top.
Wow.
And yeah, I've got the jersey signed by Nasri and Nastasic and Jovetic as well. So
where are all the City fans from Manchester for the Abu Dhabi game?
Yeah, I did get the chance to meet the team. Everybody was there except for Sergio Aguero, and I did watch the game. But I did make a promise that day that, and he invested a lot of money. Those VIP tickets were like £130 per ticket. So he bought 4 tickets for the whole family, And I made a promise from that day that if I had to go to the Etihad, I'd do it myself. And it's not that easy actually, because for the travel itself, you'd need around 350 to 400 pounds. That would be for the round trip to get to Manchester and back. And then there'd be the stay and the match day expenses and the whatever you want to spend on. So you need a good, let's say, 800, 900, maybe £1,000 per person. And that's where the problem stems from, because here in Goa, Goa is more of a very laid back place. There's beaches and everything, and it's a great place to come to retire. So if you have the money, Goa is like the getaway place to be, but it's not really a good place to work in. So, I know a friend of mine who moved to London recently, and he's earning like around £1,200 a month. And the average salary for someone who's my age here in Goa is around £250 to £300 a month.
Wow.
So I know that, yeah, I know that may sound like a big.
He's probably spending that £1,200 on his rent if he's living in London.
Yeah, living in London. So yeah, £300 is not a lot per month, and if someone like me wants to make a trip to the Etihad, I'd probably have to save 3 or 4 months worth of an entire salary just to get there for one trip. So yeah, as much as I'd want to do it and I'd love to do it, it's not that easy. But that being said, if I was living in Manchester, I know for a fact that if I was living anywhere in England, in fact, I know for a fact that my first salary of the month, I'd buy a season ticket. Then on.
Is this your friend Joelle?
Yeah, it's my friend Joelle. Yeah.
Well, he's coming. He's going to be with us, Man City on TV for the Carabao Cup final.
For the Carabao Cup final. Yeah.
Yeah. So his ticket is with us. We've got 8 tickets, and there's me, Ray, plenty of other City fans, and he's going to come and sit with us for the final. So he can report back to you and make you really jealous. But like I said, any time that you want to come over, and like I said, we'll always get you tickets. And I know you want to pay for everything, but we're a City family, and if you have to pay for your tickets, we'll put you up and we'll get you tickets and sort you out and everything else. It's no problem whatsoever. We've always said that. Harry, what imagine having to pay £1,000 just to go and watch Man City.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And what we've got to understand now is that football is such a global sport that if you don't think that people who live in other countries can be proper fans of a club, then you're so behind in the times that you're ancient. Seriously.
Well, just finally, clubs rely on international support. They do. That's the brand now. That's the way we're moving with the City Football Group. We've got clubs, we've got football teams in different countries now. We're trying to expand because I spoke to Colin Savage, Press Switch Blue, on Twitter, who knows everything about everything when it comes to finances for Man City and everything else in FFP. And I asked him basically, what is the average from 2018 into now? What is the average sort of match day income revenue? And he said it's around about £2 million. Now, if you think of how much money we generate, it's around about 11%, he said, which is nothing when you compare everything else, to it. So we do rely so much on getting this big fan base because we are decades behind United and Liverpool when it comes to where we are in the world. We have to accept that. Even Chelsea got a 5-10 year head start on us. So we have to, as a fan base, realise that the more we can sort of spread the word and get that fan base up, the more money it generates for the club, which means then we can invest in other projects and around the world. So listen, final thoughts then. What are your thoughts on, I'll go to Harry finally. What are your thoughts on overseas fans in general who don't go to games? Simple, hardest question.
Just as I said before, just as important as the people who are there cheering on them on at the Etihad every week, just as important for me.
Well, that's exactly what, when I mentioned, I asked Yannick and I said to him, well, what do you define a fan or a supporter? And he said very much the same as you. And he said, listen, the fan base is really, at the games, is only there for TV. He thinks it's there just solely to generate atmosphere. Yeah. And we need that because of the TV revenue and because we know empty hard and we get all this. As soon as there's 20, 30 seats empty in the stadium for one game, suddenly the whole stadium's empty according to opposition fans. So he said that, you know, in the future, more importantly, we're going to have to rely on generating this brand and fans around the world because we are still so far behind the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, and we're going to have to do that to keep up with it. Because, you know, let's face it, Akio, you're talking about you'd buy a season ticket. Well, if I said to you that our highest level season ticket at the Etihad is £40, our highest season ticket is £40 more than the cheapest at the Emirates. Yeah. Which would you rather pay for? An Emirates ticket?
I'd definitely pay for a City ticket. I mean, I've read up about this that City has. I'm not sure if it's the cheapest season ticket, but it's definitely one of the cheapest season tickets in the Premier League, and it's great that the club is providing a real value for money because, in some way, it shows that the club is still very, you know, connected with the fans because. A lot of these other clubs are just very money oriented and focused on earning money and making their buck in any way that they can. And there's always a group of fans in every fan base that complain about how this could be better and that could be better. But sometimes in life, you need to look at the bigger picture. And I know for a fact that fans from so many clubs would absolutely kill to have season ticket prices like ours. So sometimes we need to value the things that we have instead of complaining about other things that could be better.
Well, listen, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to Harry, our new presenter on Man City Fan TV, and Akio all the way from Goa. I know it's late at night, and I want to say, go and cook your dinner that you said you were waiting for. And as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. You know, you talk sense, both of you, and it's great to have you on the channel. Maybe we'll catch up, Akio, with your friend who's going to be with us at the Carabao Cup final. So maybe we could sort something out, and we'll do something because you're going to meet up, I believe, with Chelsea fans.
We are having a big League Cup final screening. Whether the Chelsea fans will show up after the 6-0 thing, I'm not really sure, but we are all going to be there in big number and big voice.
Sure. We'll get some video footage and Akio will do some sort of like a bit of a vlog for us for that particular day. And Harry, you're going to be down there?
Yeah, I'm down there. Yeah.
So we'll meet up, and Harry will be doing some more videos before then, anyway. But anyway, guys, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I want to say a massive thank you for coming on, to Harry and for Akio. And guys, take care of yourself. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon.